everybody. Yeah, it's Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. I did want to get this filmed earlier today, but I did get a call back from some little girl, Amanda, from Michael's Crafts. They called me back, and she's trying to be pacifying me, but I did speak sternly. And yes, I do expect to hear back from one of the executive vice presidents by the name of Tim Cheatham. Hey, I'm half Texan. No, I know my way around corporate structures. One of the big boys better get in touch with me, because I don't tolerate half Texan, half Eastern European Jew. No. Anti-Semitic behavior at a mass market retailer doesn't fly in my book. And if you need to, folks, go back to my other video, and I do give the phone numbers out. Yeah, I'm Glinda. I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient. Everything's entertainment purposes only. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I sound like a broken record, but things are getting crazy, and I'm seeing all sorts of stuff going around. Like, we've got one guy who's actually talking sense out of Texas. Byron Donalds? Yeah, he's a Republican congressman from Florida. And he's actually talking sense. Like, hey, we got to do something about the wetbacks crossing the Rio Grande coming into the United States illegally. And AOC is going, oh, this is only his first term as congressman. He doesn't know anything. Well, AOC, you are nothing but a bartender. I want to see your educational background, AOC. And the fact that you hang with those other squatties, Omar and Talib? Yeah. AOC needs to have her head examined. Or maybe she ought to be sent to a re-education camp. She needs to learn a lot. She's a dingbat, in my personal opinion. And I think everybody else feels the same way these days. Now, we've got, they are putting together the paper trail with JoJo, with, like wire transfers going into the bank account of his brother Jimmy. And as soon as the wire transfer is confirmed, then Jimmy writes a check out for the same exact amount of money and gives it to his brother JoJo as a loan payment. Now, don't people, if they have loans this and back and forth, they have some document as to who owes whom a certain amount of money? So the paper trail is coming out. We just have to wait to see what the stupid donkeys, how they try to cover their tails with that information. Okay, the other thing that was all over the news, it's coming out that, Henry went down to Austin, Texas for the Formula One Grand Prix race. They're asking, why didn't he bring his kid? I mean, little boys love fast cars, but, hey, how can you bring a kid if a kid isn't around? But I was kind of laughing because I'm looking at the pictures of them, and I do know, hey, when you're down in Texas, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody took them out to some honky-tonk, and down there besides, it's up here people think shooting tequila is great, but down there you got to be able to shoot some whiskey or mezcal. So I think Henry was doing quite a few shoots of, he was shooting whiskey, and then, after drinking, you got to go for munchy food. They probably took him to someplace for tacos, and with a green habanero salsa. Because those pictures of him look like he was hungover, had a headache, and he was clenching his butt together to keep him from going poo-poo in his pants. That's what I saw out of it. And so if anyone's down in the Austin area who saw him out and about, leave your comments down below. Okay? Now it is being announced, like I was saying a while back, Big Red Sea was using Sri Lanka as a docking port for a bunch of their ships. Well, now they're saying, oh yeah, a lot of the Big Red Sea's battleships are getting primed in strategic locations. And we're also seeing, it was just mentioned it was like yesterday, during a traffic stop in Boulder, Colorado, which is on the off-beaten path from the Rio Grande to the Canadian border. Somebody was stopped in it was a traffic stop, and when the officers searched the car, they found over $17,000 in counterfeit $100 bills. Well, while they were pulling the evidence out of the car, the person who was driving the car illegally bolted. So, yeah. Back in 79, when the embassy in Tehran was stormed, they didn't have time to fully destroy all of the plates. Because before 79, the U.S. government did sell to the country of Iran the intaglio printing presses that are used to make our paper money. And yes, in the embassy, they had plates to print American money. And it was like various denominations, like 20s, 50s, 100s. Yeah. And now $17,000 of counterfeit American money was confiscated. Folks, this has got to be coming out of Iran. And people are admitting now that, okay, we've had over 7 million illegals cross into the United States and heading north. They are now admitting that they're coming from the Big Red Sea and all sorts of other nasty Middle Eastern countries. I mean, a lot of these Shiites are coming in. And they're saying, some people are saying, make the assumption that we already have sleeper cells. And the people that are pro-Hamas are now jumping on the George Floyd bandwagon to gain more support. Where now who was it, Tucker? Tucker revealed the real autopsy reports of George Floyd, that he wasn't strangled. I mean, that officer had him in the correct hold position, because there was no bruising on his neck or petechial hemorrhages in his eyes. That happens. But he had so much of a certain illegal substance that I guess it was like 2 milligrams is toxic to send you over the Rainbow Bridge, and he had like over 10. So yeah, I mean, the Hamas area, the Hamas supporters, the pro-Palestinians, are pulling in the little BLM burn, loot, murder crew, because those people believe what you tell them. And if you supply them with some designer goods, they'll follow you to across the Rainbow Bridge. And it is. A lot of this, it's JoJo and Barry are helping all this stupid propaganda. I mean, we even have the dingbat Chris Christie. He's out there talking to people and yada yada. And when someone asked him directly, oh, who's going to be your VP? He ditches the question. But we know Chris Christie is nothing but a big fat bully, just like Pugsley Putzker. And yeah, Chris Christie even demonstrated how much of a bully he could be, because a while back, you see, there's a lot of bridges that connect Jersey to New York, and a lot of them have toll booths, so you have to pay a toll to cross the bridge. Well, one of these bridges has like several lanes of traffic going through, like they have like 12 toll booths. Well, one day he got pissed off at somebody and shut down. They only had one toll booth open, and it caused a traffic jam that lasted basically an entire business day, just because somebody pissed off Chris Christie. That's the kind of bully he is. But yeah, it's like, it's coming out. Donnie T is saying, hey, when he's back in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, he is going to revoke all the visas. Doesn't matter if you're here on a 90-day fiance visa, family green card visa, work visa, student visa, tourist. Anyone who is and supports HAMS, DJT is going to boot out of the country. But of course, when the question about this was asked to JoJo, the Barry's administration is just ditching the answer. They're not answering it. They go, we don't think that's a sound question. Because people are now starting to wake up, because they're seeing all this nonsense going on, especially on these college campuses. It's getting crazy, because we've got the college campuses, Ivy League schools. Some of these kids are finally waking up, and they are seeing the dangers of Blinken's weak stance on Iran. And these kids are now realizing that they're graduating college with a bachelor's degree, and they can't get a frickin' job because they don't have an education. Sorry, but black women's studies is not a marketable skill. Gender norms. I mean, I think you would have a better chance of getting a job with a degree in underwater basket weaving. That might be a better degree to have than these gender studies stuff. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, accounting, yeah, it's boring, but everybody needs their taxes done. Every business needs to have their accounts properly. I mean, some people don't even know how to balance their own freaking checkbook. They do everything on a computer. What happens when all the computers crash and burn? These kids don't know how to add and subtract, multiply and divide. And with all of this nonsense happening, more and more of the donkey lies are being exposed. Especially because the donkeys are saluting and applauding these stupid children going out on college campuses, and they are so anti-Semitic. They're literally, you've got the what they call the squad, those 4 stupid women. I mean, Omar needs her citizenship revoked and sent back to where she came from, along with her incestuous marriage partner. I mean, yeah. Basically, I guess she married a sibling so he could stay in the States. These stupid women, these stupid kids are showing their true colors, and now major corporations, major donors are saying to these schools, these Ivy League schools, you're not getting any more money. I mean, you are supporting kids that are openly anti-Semitic. It's like they are supporting HAMS. And to me, it's kind of ironic that these people are acting the same way as the kids from 1920, 1930. I mean, you've got two. HAMS is basically a political organization. And the other nasty political organization, their fearless leader, his last name began with an H also. And who is the common victim? Target of harassment and elimination. People who follow the Old Testament. I mean, even now, Prince Turki Al Faisal from Saudi, he's a pretty high-ranking member of the Saudi royal family. And he came out and he's calling out both Israel and HAMS on their stupid behavior. He's saying nobody is going to be a hero in this mess. All they're doing is creating tons of victims on both sides. And because, yeah, it's okay. Saudi is an absolute monarchy. And in order to come in, and if you pray 5 times a day, you're supposed to visit the holy cities of Mecca and Medina at least once in your lifetime. It's called doing the Hajj. Well, Saudis are Sunni Muslim. And they may just shut the borders down, lock the borders down. If you're Shiite, you're not coming in. You can't do what you're supposed to do. And yeah, it's the Shiite extremists who are running Iran, and Iran is subsidizing those idiots. I mean, even now, it's coming up on the Aussie News that they're saying, oh, the news stations that speak in Arabic and Farsi and all those different dialects, they're basically brainwashing people into saying that they're making it all come across as anti-Israel, basically anti-Semitic propaganda. Where, if you know where to look, you're not finding it. In some, yeah, it's like the news stations that broadcast in Gaza and Iran, of course, they're going to make the people look bad, but they're saying it's all over the place. But yeah, it's crazy because we've got these college kids, and I did a little bit of math. These are actually the grandkids of the people who were supporting Angela Davis back in the late 60s, early 70s. These are the grandkids of the adults during the initial uprising of the Black Panther movement, which was very anti-American. And I think Angela Davis even openly stated that she was a communist. And she wanted the communist ideology to happen here in the United States. And yeah, the Black Panthers basically wanted to eliminate the white race, just like what's now happening in like South Africa. South Africa is like comparing itself to Zimbabwe, and I guess one of the political parties in the country of South Africa, the EFF, they're openly siding with Hamas. And basically they are urging their followers to eliminate everybody who has a fair complexion. Now, these are just making it on the little obscure news blurbs. I mean, it's not making it into the mainstream media. Because what is making it into the mainstream media, like I said, are all these stupid protesters. And it's so ironic. One station finally brought up the fact that these goofy trans idiots who are in dresses promoting HAMS, these guys don't realize that what they're promoting is their own I mean, if these people get into control, they're going to be some of the first ones tossed off. They're promoting and identifying themselves for their own self-elimination. But then the other thing that's being covered up and is like real quiet right now is that the Big Red Sea's ping pong guy is sending over his top diplomat, Wang Yi. I guess he's equivalent to stupid Antony Blinken. Well, that dude's coming over in a couple of days for a big diplomatic visit. Yeah, they say he's going to be talking to Blinken and head of our national security thing, Jake Sullivan. So basically, Barry is supplying the Big Red Sea with all the information they need to know so they can continue their agenda of undermining our American way of life. That's what's going on. I wonder how big of a check Barry and JoJo are going to write for this guy, Wang Yi, to take back to the Big Red Sea, because their economy is tanking because of their property deals went belly up. Now, okay, yes, I did watch our favorite Swede this morning. And he did make it a point. He used something else as the example, but he brought up the fact that it takes about 6 weeks of constant indoctrination of hearing the same thing day in and day out to make somebody believe it. So right now we're on week 3 of this mess that's going on over on the far eastern shores of the Mediterranean. And we're in year 3 of the stuff pertaining to the whatchamacallit to be pushed into everybody's body? So all this stuff, people keep hearing the same nonsense time and time again, and they're slowly, more and more people are believing the propaganda. And yeah, the Swede brought up a really good example on how it only takes 6 weeks to brainwash somebody. So yeah, and what's even more whacked is that this country of Sweden is getting really, really close. I mean, for years, centuries, decades, it was known as a neutral country. They didn't take sides on any upset. Well, now they're about to join NATO. NATO is tight with the EU. And right now is the time. It's the anniversary of the 1956 Hungarian uprising against the bad Soviet communist Russia control. And then Victor also said, being a member of the EU, he compares the European Union and NATO. If you're a member, basically you have sold your country out to be under the same type of former Soviet oppression, but it's just under a new name. I mean, Vlad Yeah, he's old KGB. He was raised under the Soviet oppression. But, so that's why he doesn't want it back. He knows what to fight against. That's why those certain eastern sections of the blue and yellow flag country, they wanted, and they still do, they want to be back part of Russia. They don't want to be under the thumb of the EU and NATO. They were there once. They don't want it anymore. And the Z guy is he's basically a turncoat. And he is sucking up to become, he's a comedian. The guy's a laughingstock. He's just a puppet of the EU. And probably Klaus Schwab and George Soros. Yeah. Just look at the propaganda that they've been putting out. It's 4 weeks ago, yeah. Barry and JoJo were saying, oh, the Middle East is very safe right now. A week later, all heck breaks loose. Yeah. And it's even more and more stuff about the donkeys is coming out. Like how Barry's puppet, JoJo, is falling to pieces. And now this, Texas Congress idiot, Sheila Jackson Lee. I guess the woman is, I'm going to call her out, ghetto. So one of her staff members leaked an audio recording of her and her ghetto behavior. And when she went batshite crazy on somebody. And this is the woman that wants to be mayor of Houston, Texas now? Remember, Houston is where a lot of rockets go up. Hey, remember in the movie Apollo 13 with stupid Tom Hanks? Houston, we've got a problem? Well, yeah, Houston, if you let this wacko woman, ghetto trash, elect her mayor, you are a problem. If you're not part of the solution, you are the problem in Houston. You will be a problem if you allow her to be mayor. And the other, it's so ironic because all these stupid donkeys are making mistakes right, left, 8 ways to center. Slowly, the people that I kind of scolded a couple weeks ago, the American Jews that are so far to the left, they're starting to wake up and realizing they've made some big-ass mistakes by supporting donkeys. And if you start talking to a few of them now, they're going to realize, yeah, I made a mistake in following blindly. I go, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You were willfully complacent in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. Look what happened then. You don't want the history to repeat itself. But the last thing I did catch before I started doing this, putting my notes together, is I guess somebody who has the right technology went into the dark internet. And they were able to hack into some systems. And I guess they found the DNA structures. Now, when somebody in a royal family gives birth, you see, the DNA structure identification stuff is gathered from all the members of every royal family. And when a newcomer comes in, that person's DNA is collected also. It's basically a lot for identification purposes, security. So now, alleged child, the alleged male child, was a DNA sample was sent for registration purposes. Somebody hacked the system, and the alleged male child only carries the husband's DNA. Some hackers are getting into stuff, and they are also trying to hack databases in California. And they haven't come up with anything yet. But they did find that there was a male child that carries the DNA from a male member of the British royal family. Kind of interesting. I'm waiting to see what happens next. So, everybody have a great Tuesday night. I'll have my next video up for you on Thursday. And remember, this Saturday is the 4th Saturday of the month. So it is a live broadcast at 1 p.m. Everyone have a good evening. Be talking to you on Thursday. Bye-bye.